SDVoE technology has allowed AV professionals all over the world to embrace matrix switch performance across a truly converged AV and data network, without the need to compromise video or data performance. And no other technology has ever been able to offer this level of unparalleled convergence with IT-like interoperability. That's a pretty good start to selling SDVoE, right? So, let's see how that might come across in a client meeting. SDVoE technology has allowed you AV professionals and people like you all over the world to embrace matrix switch performance across a truly converged AV and data network. And it doesn't need to compromise video or data performance. No other technology has ever been able to offer this level of unparalleled convergence with IT-like interoperability. One of the key principles of selling anything is to first of all understand the needs of the customer. While we might be keen to position all of the benefits of SDVoE from the outset, this doesn't show the customer that we're willing to listen to them. And we can use the traffic light principle to explain this. Red indicates stop, and at this stage we need to ask a lot of open questions using what, where, why, when, who and how. What is the current system doing which is no longer working for the customer? How much research has already been done before determining that the current system is no longer able to furnish these needs? Who is most affected? What impact is this having on the business? It's vital that we replay or mirror these considerations back to the customer to show that we've understood them, because this will allow you to identify which elements of SDVoE will prove the most effective later on. It's also important to familiarise yourself with any use cases from other customers within the same industry. After all, if we understand how well something has worked for others in the same field, we're more likely to adopt it ourselves. Yellow signals start, and it's here that we begin to explain how SDVoE can solve problems. Remember, each use case is different, and until we clearly understand what the problems are, we're unable to move forward. Yellow is an exploratory stage in any part of the process. We're not ready to bombard the customer with all the groovy things that SDVoE can do yet. We're simply working with the customer to suggest ways in which each of these problems raised during the red phase could be solved. And again, we're going to use open questions, such as how important is it to actually save money by implementing a new system rather than deploy more resources to adapt to changing needs using proprietary systems already in place? Placing a value on each question by identifying the cost to the business if they don't have a solution will pique their interest, because now they feel that they've not only been listened to, but you're actually suggesting solutions which work specifically for their needs and their budgets. So, once you've demonstrated that, you've clearly understood the needs of the customer, and now you're in a good position to go green and explain how SDVoE technology can solve the exact problems. And furthermore, your customer will be focused on the specific applications which apply to him. When we learned to drive, we were taught the importance of making sure that this process was delivered in the correct order. And it's no different for technical sales. At this stage, we need our customer to start asking exploratory questions about timing, locations, space requirements, and how SDVoE is able to provide the functionality that they need, because these are excellent buying signals. They indicate a clear interest from them in wanting to learn more about SDVoE technology. Now it's time to show just how powerful this solution really is. So let's keep going with our traffic light system as we push forward. SDVoE technology provides matrix switch performance across an IP network, and it's highly likely if your customer already has video distribution in place, it will be a proprietary matrix switch based product. Alternatively, there may be an existing AV over IP product in place which doesn't support SDVoE technology. Remember, your job isn't to pick out all the bad points about their existing system. After all, they put it in for a very good reason, and you need to reward them for choosing it in the first place. The customer needs to know that all the functionality that they relied upon before will still be available to them. So making sure you replay these functions regularly will help you gain trust throughout the process. The more they trust you, the more likely that they'll want to learn how SDVoE technology will improve their lives. And it's at this stage you're once again able to introduce them to added functionality which wasn't previously available to them. It's also worth describing those use cases we mentioned earlier on, if applicable, and how other companies have switched out their own existing systems. Up to now, our role has been to listen, understand, and replay the problems currently being faced by the customer. And as we're gaining more trust, we're starting to introduce new functionality which is new information to your customer. And it's important to remember not to overload them. Remember, to be efficient, we've all used the phrase less is more, so make sure you only explain functionality and benefits which relate directly to the use case. For example, if the customer hasn't once mentioned the need for a multi-view application, this feature becomes a nice to know rather than a need to know. We're not ready to upsell yet. We're here to provide a solution which fits the exact requirements of the customer. We should look for any way in which the customer may want to be involved, such as designing the system based on their needs. Once they've bought into the system, then we can offer some extra features, but only if they're applicable. Customers like to hear about a simple solution over a technical one. If they consider your offering too complicated, they might decide to stick with what they've got already, and that will be detrimental to all the hard work that you've put in. The customer should feel in control at all times, so don't tell them what will happen. Instead, reassure them that you and your team will support them at every stage. This is a big decision, and they need to understand who to turn to at each stage of the process. Your role is to introduce them to SDVoE technology, and it's the role of your tech team to support both you and your customer to ensure continuity and protect the trust that you've worked so hard to gain when implementing it. Once your customer presses the go button, it's down to you to ensure every person is connected with the installation and that they work to the expectations which you have influenced during the sales process. Don't be afraid to revisit these expectations as often as you need to. And never assume anything, because this will lead you into a rabbit hole you may not be able to get out from. Once your customer understands who will be overseeing each step in the process, it's important to clearly communicate that with your own teams, so they can support you in managing the customer's expectations. Overlapping responsibilities can often lead to confusion and cause your customer to lose confidence. So making sure your customer knows exactly which role each of you will play is important. And making sure you don't try to do it all yourself or make decisions which aren't yours to make is vital. Once your technical team has been fully briefed on the project, you must let them take control of their job. If they need your help or they require information from you, they'll ask you, but telling a technical engineer how to do their job is never well received. The job of the sales professional is to manage expectations and keep the customer informed. The job of the technical team is to implement the system. Once the customer knows who to turn to for support at each stage of the project, there should be no confusion. Finally, now we've covered these fundamental selling techniques, why not take a look at some further deep dive courses in the sales tips section here on the SDVoE Academy. And remember, we'd love to hear from you if you'd like us to put further sales courses together to help you get the most from this amazing technology.